All right, everybody, welcome back to the Wonderful World of Odyssey podcast. It's been a while. I have Bree, me, of course, and we have Marshal Younger.
Hello. Thanks for
He
having
has
me.
written some. He has written some shows on Odyssey.
I have.
What shows have you written so far?
What shows have I written so far? Well, it's almost 200 now. Almost 200 of them. Would you want me to just kind of go through the list?
Sure.
My first one was called The Living Nativity. That was aired in 1993. A few of the ones that I've written, I wrote the Underground Railroad parts 1 to 3, and I wrote a show called Hidden in My Heart, which was real fun. Um, wrote some Barclay shows when they were going through when George was had become a pastor. Call for Reverend Jimmy, the preacher's kid. Um, I've written some. Let's see what else. I wrote the script for Odyssey Sings. Didn't write any of the music for it. But hey, Vex. I'm sorry,
Hey, actually, it's
Jane.
Jane. It's Jane, your close
Sorry,
personal
Jane.
friend. Hi, it's so good to see you. I heard you were going to be here, so I had to be here too because I wanted to say hi. And they tried to not let me on, but I found the link anyway. So hi.
Why wouldn't they let you on? I mean, seems like you'd be a
Oh,
fantastic
they just
guest.
they decide that that I shouldn't be here, but
I had to
yeah,
block her
usually
from the
fine
last time she
anyway.
was on with Daniel.
You had
Yeah,
to block her.
Well,
Oh
I
no,
just
I
keep
can't
finding the
imagine that.
link, and they try to keep me out, but I just find it anyway. So yeah.
All right, all
So
right.
she's been
Well,
on my podcast 2 times now.
try not to be a problem.
Oh, but that's what they say
That's
I
what you
am, but
always.
I try.
Okay,
I
all
never
right.
am,
I guess
but they say I am.
that's not your thing. Um. So yeah. So yeah, and then that's just the first few years, first like decade, and then I've written some more. I wrote the Olivia story arc with the Lost One story arc. I was really happy about that. I've written a lot for the Perkins recently, um, and I wrote a show called Unrelatable, which was really fun with Connie and Wooten and Jason. So yeah, quite a few, almost 200 now. I'm not exactly sure when I'll get to 200, but it's something. It's pretty close, I think.
Are there any ones upcoming that you're writing?
Yes, there are two in the fall that are going to be in the club. One called Aunt Vicky, which is a Perkins show, and another one called Being Real, which is a Bridget and Jules show.
Bree has a question.
What was the most memorable Odyssey moment that you've done, or the most
The most memorable what?
Odyssey moment, like when you, while writing and producing, or the most mem-
Oh, the most memorable blooper. Um, I tell you what, the one who's best at or the most prolific with her bloopers is Chris, our announcer. She has bloopers all the time, and it just cracks us up the way mixes up words and things. I can't remember anything in specific, but yeah, she's the blooper queen. Um, but there's there's a lot of times when actors will ad lib and throw things in. We've had we've had actors do entire like say we need something on the television in the background, so just why don't you just go with it, ad lib some stuff, and they come up with hilarious things. Trying to think of um, of an actual blooper. Nothing's coming to the top of my head right now. We really we have a blast in the studio all the time, especially with the ones that have been around for 30 years or so, because we're like a family, and so we can pick on each other, and we do all the time. Um, it's always a blast in the studio, always fun.
Jay, do you have any questions?
Yeah, well, I can think of multiple questions, but one of them is since you're a writer, and obviously you've been writing for a pretty long time, even just for Odyssey, but even before that, what was something from either your childhood or early writing days? What was something that either inspired you to keep writing or just was really influential on your path to getting where you are now?
That is an excellent question. Thank you, Jane. Um, so when I was in the third grade, I loved writing my own stories, and I decided in the third grade that I wanted to be a writer, and the reason I wanted to become a writer is because my teacher thought I had some talent, and so she would read my stories to the class, and instead of reading like from a real author, and anytime that I was able to make the class laugh with my writing, well, that was it. That was it. I wanted to be a writer. That's the only thing I wanted to do. I did this series. It was a book series. Well, I guess it was a short story series called Vinny the Pooh. So it was obviously it was a takeoff on Winnie the Pooh, but it was Vinny. It was sort of I don't know if you can get this reference, but Fonzie meets Winnie the Pooh. So it's this cool guy. This cool guy who's wears a leather jacket, and but he looks like Winnie the Pooh. And so it was called Vinny the Pooh, and his friends, and it was just kind of uh, it was just a parody of Winnie the Pooh, and it was, you know, and I tried to be funny. Probably wouldn't think it was funny now, but my class laughed at these things, and so I would write a bunch of them. I even had a good friend who would illustrate it for me, and he was good at illustrating, and so we had pictures and all sorts of stuff, and that inspired me because it was, and so I have to thank my teacher, Miss Walker, from fourth and fifth grade. I had her for fourth and fifth grade,
That's awesome.
and I also
Are
wrote
you in?
mysteries, but my mysteries were pretty lame. I've never been really good at mysteries, but I had the one guy, and he would solve these cases, and they're always really really obvious. It was like, yeah, anybody could see that coming. So I wasn't very good at that, but I had a flair for being the funny stuff. So that's where I landed. That's still my favorite genre is comedy.
It looked like we could. I saw you said something, Charles, but we couldn't actually hear you. At least I couldn't.
What was your favorite Odyssey episode that you wrote?
So it's varied over the years. I think there may be some recency bias because it was only a few years ago. But like I said, the Olivia series was really close to my heart, because it involved people. It was based on somebody that I knew that was really close with, and she had struggled with her faith just like Olivia does, and so it was. I put a lot of myself and this situation into that show, and it was a really important show for me, and plus I think it turned out well. I think, the acting, Kelly Stables and who played Olivia, and Natalie Lander who played Zoe, and Andre Stoica who played Wit, um, and Greg Jabara who played Wilson. Just fantastic performances. And so when you write something and you put your effort into it, and you really 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 want it to be good, and then the actors actually lift it and make it better than it was on the page, well there's nothing better than that, and that's what happened. And so that's my favorite episode right now. Currently those are my favorite episodes, but who knows, tomorrow I may switch.
If you could go back and rewrite an Odyssey episode, which one would it be?
All right, I'm gonna. I don't. I think I might have mentioned this on a previous podcast, but I'm not sure. But there's a show called Chores No More, um, which I had written, and it's about these kids that go on a chore strike, and the parents kind of, in order to sort of teach them a lesson, they decide to take their own chore strike, and so nothing gets done in the house, and it's disgusting and all this stuff. And there was I was not on staff. I was a freelance writer when I wrote that, and I really do love that show, and I think it's really fun, and it's very relatable, just because everybody has to do chores. And I had an ending that I really really loved, and they had just, the kids had decided on this chore strike, and they were going to do all this stuff, but then they keep losing people who wanted to be involved in it, because they're getting pulled back because their parents are not doing chores either, and so it's just become this big mess. So they keep losing people that are going to be at this chore strike. And then the last scene was I can't remember which character it was. I can't remember who was in that show, but the one who invented the chore strike and decided on it. She's out there by herself, and she has a sign, and she's going chores no more. She's the only person out there, and then her mom calls her from the door and says, "Come on in, do the dishes." And she pauses and goes, "All right," and then goes, and that's the end of the show. And that's the way I wrote it as a freelancer, and somebody on the team rewrote it and made it into what it is now, where they actually actually had a chore strike, and there was stuff, but and I just that's like one of the only times that my show was rewritten, and I didn't care for the ending, and I wish they would have kept it the way it was. But at that time, I was a freelance writer, so I didn't have any control over it. Very rarely did that happen where I didn't really love the way that they rewrote my stuff. But that is one that I thought, oh man, I really miss that ending. I really miss that show. But I mean, it still turned out to be a decent show. So that's yeah. If there's always, but Charlie, there's always ones that I want to go back to and rewrite. I mean, eh, there are no episodes that I don't want to go back and change. Um, at least in some way, either in the writing or the directing or something. But you gotta put it out there at some points.
Are we ever going to hear Maury or Rydell?
Are we going to hear Maury? Is that the question?
Like Maury going to the imagination station?
Oh, are we going to hear Maury in the Imagination Station? Is that the question? There are no plans right now to have him do that. Um, but it's not to say we won't. No plans right now.
Yeah, last time
I
we
have another
talked.
question for you. Oh.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. My question was, since you've actually been a voice instead of just a writer. You've also additionally been a couple of different voices on Odyssey. Um, I think the two main ones that I recall are young Jack Allen and, of course, the continuing Stu Burke, who has arrested almost every main character in all of
Yes,
Odyssey,
yes.
possibly numbers that we don't know about. Um, between those two, which is your favorite? And then the second part of the question is, how has it been for you to become either potentially a character you wrote? I don't know if you wrote those characters, but either becoming those characters or being on the acting side along with the writing side.
Okay, just to let you know, I didn't write either one of those characters. I've never written myself into a script. Young Jack was written by Nathan, and and the first show I was in as Burke was The Perfect Witness, I think. Um, you guys probably know better than I do, which was a Paul McCusker show. So I've never, and back when it was when Officer Burke came in Perfect Witness, I'm sure it was just okay. We're just going to put him in this show, and he'll play the police officer, and that'll be it. And then, but for whatever reason, he's made a comeback, and now now he's in a bunch of shows arresting people, as you say. I really I very much enjoy acting. I do. I just don't. I just get so embarrassed next to these people that are so good at it and have been doing it for years. You said you had Phil Proctor on the show. Charlie is and he's been doing audio drama for 60 years, maybe even more. I don't know, something like 60 years. And I and I'm in a lot of scenes with him because Whole House is the chief of detective, and then I'm kind of his partner, and I just feel so inadequate next to Phil Proctor. And I feel like, okay, is everybody else noticing how bad I am next to this guy? And I hope not. But
You're not bad. No, no, you're it's great. I love hearing your characters.
You're
okay,
good.
well, I appreciate that, but it is still it doesn't it's still very nerve wracking to be acting next to these people or just any of them. Did I answer your question? There was another question in there that's kind of
I think that was pretty much all of it.
okay. All right, but young Jack was very fun. I enjoyed that too, but I do have trouble listening to it because I just I just don't feel like it doesn't feel like it levels up with the people that are doing on that are actual professional actors. Doesn't measure up.
I know
I
last
think to
time.
me it always sounded like it was young Jack. It always sounded like you could have grown into being Jack. So I thought it definitely fit with the character the entire time. So, but
and,
that's just
and,
me.
and yeah, and that's why Paul McCusker casted me in that is that he felt like that I sounded like what Alan Young would have sounded like young. I don't hear it, but I guess it's true, or they wouldn't have done it. I've heard that from other people, not just Paul. So I guess it's true.
If you
Well,
didn't discover
unfortunately, I have to
Odyssey,
go. Oh, sorry. Sorry, what was that?
if you didn't discover Odyssey, what would you be doing?
I would like to be able. I'd like to be able to say that I'd still be writing. And like I said, I've been wanted to be a writer since I was in the third grade, and I have done other writing, and I've written some books and some movies and some TV and some plays and magazine articles. So I would like to be able to say I'd still be a writer. But it's so hard to make a living as a freelance writer though that I don't I mean I don't know I don't know. Odyssey was a blessing that came up, and I've told people several times that if this was the last job of my life, that would be perfectly fine with me. If I could do this until I retired, and so yeah, I've completely been blessed that I'm able to do what I love, write, not just write, but write for a solid organization like Focus on the Family, and to write about things that I believe in the Christian walk and in the Bible and Jesus, to be able to write that and then to write for such a quality show like Adventures in Odyssey that that started um, 6 years before I started on it, and to be just and also to be a part of this team. This team is fantastic, and I love every member of the team, and we just we work together really well, so I feel completely blessed by that Odyssey exists.
And you get to meet fans
And
like us.
unfortunately, I have to go. I have to go. So it was good to see you. Uh, bye.
Bye
You
bye,
guys are
I'm gonna
Janine.
have to
awesome.
block
Yeah,
you
I'm your
again.
biggest fan. Yeah, yeah, I know. I know. I can feel my all my connection here. I can tell you're actively trying to get me off of here, but I have to go. Okay, bye.
That's true.
She's your biggest fan, apparently.
I think she's a big fan of a lot of Odyssey. I've seen her be fangirl over a lot of people. So
Yeah, I really tried to block her for getting in this one.
you'll need to work on that.
Yeah, well, I need to work on my blocking skills. So, how's your summer been, though?
Summer's been great. We just got back from we took a trip to Ohio and Tennessee. Went to Ohio to see my in-laws and to Tennessee to go to my daughter's wedding. So my daughter got wedding. My daughter got married, and it was actually yeah, it was really we're really happy, really excited about it. And she it was a surprise wedding. They told us, and they put on the invitations it was going to be an engagement party, because we knew they had gotten engaged, and then we all got there and they went, surprise, we're getting married, and oh, okay. So they got married, and we were not prepared for such a thing. We probably would have dressed differently. A few other
Did
things.
they have an Odyssey wedding?
No, it was not an Odyssey wedding. My middle daughter is not the biggest fan. My oldest daughter is a big fan, and her kids. So she has a husband and four kids, and two of her kids, the older kids, are big Odyssey fans. Um, but my middle daughter has never been that big of a fan.
Well, she should because you're on it.
I know. She did come out. I had both of them out for the 1,000th episode. They came for the big event in August, so they got to be here and got to see the show, and that was fun.
Did they become a fan then, or still no?
Uh, my oldest was already a fan. and she knows the show really well, and she keeps up, and she has the club, and and my middle daughter, I mean, she liked it. I mean, I think she likes the show if whenever she listens to it. She just doesn't listen to it that much.
I listen to it all the time.
Well, good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And we're going to have Chris Anthony next on the podcast.
Are you? Oh, that's going to be fun. She is a fun interview. She has a really good time, and she will pull you in, and she'll probably ask you a bunch of questions. So you'll probably lose control of the interview at some point, and and she'll take
Become the host.
but yeah, she's a blast.
She'll become the host.
Yes, that's her thing.
So what other podcasts have you been on recently besides mine?
It's been a little bit since I was on the last one. I've been on Daniel Ross. I did one. I'm trying to remember what else I was on Michael LaFavor's a long time ago. But it just every now and then I'll get um, I'll get requests, and it'll just be a half hour thing. Of course, I'm on the official podcast all the time, um, so which is always fun. And we just did I guess that's already aired. The one the Ask the Producers, that I think that just aired this last couple of weeks. So those are always a lot of fun when Kathy.
Now, how do you get on that thing? Ask the producer your question. How do you get on that? Like, I know people phone in, but how do you do that?
Oh, man. You know what? I am not sure. But we get. I don't know. I go on the website, go on the club, and see if you can search it or something. Because I'm not sure how it works. But there's a line, there's a phone line you call in on, and you just leave your question. Leave your name and where you're from, your first name, where you're from, and then your question. Um, yeah, but I'm not sure exactly what that number is or where you find it.
Well, I mean, I can ask you questions on here, but
I think they open up the lines a couple of weeks before they actually record it. So I don't know. I don't think it's open all the time. But I may be completely wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not doing well with that question.
I mean, I could ask you questions right here, right now.
Yes, you can ask me questions right here. Yes, so you don't have to call in the phone line.
Any insights or any sneak peeks you can give us for the album Anyone?
We're recording 5 shows in July, at the end of July. We'll be going out to California, and it is a 2-part Wooten show. It involves Wooten and Penny and his dad and his brother, his twin brother. So it involves them. That's a 2-parter, and then a 3-parter that Phil has written that involves Renee. So those are the 5 shows we're doing in July.
Any insights if Connie's getting married or has a special someone?
If Connie's getting married,
Yeah.
We have no plans for Connie getting married.
Oh, that would have been awesome, though.
That would have been a scoop, wouldn't it? If you would have gotten that.
That would have been a twist.
No plans at this time.
Are you writing any shows in the new album?
Not this coming album. No. Well, I'm sorry. I'm mistaken. We recorded some. We recorded some in April, and I wrote one of those, and it's called "This Is My Story." So there's going to be this a 2-part Buck show in this album 80. I'm talking about. I'm not talking about 79. 79 is already coming out. You guys have listened to the first 2 parts of album 79, the Jules shows. Okay, all right, and then so you guys already know kind of what that one is. Album 80 is Renee show, a Buck show, and then my 1-parter called "This Is My Story."
So, how close is Buck to becoming a Christian, or does he have no interest in it still?
Well, I can't divulge that, but last we heard from Buck, he was pretty angry at Christians, and one particular Christian. So he's still having some trouble.
What about his relationship with the new girl that he likes?
You talking about Lexi?
Yeah.
You're gonna find out. Yeah, you'll find out some stuff about Lexi in the album that comes out in November or December, whatever it is. The album 80.
So not this coming album.
Not this, not this one that's airing this summer. It's the one that's airing in the early winter. Um, yeah. So Lexi is in that show. I'll give you that.
Any more episodes with Buck and Jules, or are they done completely?
Well, we'll see. I can't give you everything.
We'll keep it a secret.
Yeah, right. So you're not gonna air this then? You're gonna cut this part out?
I did that with Phil Lawler, but it didn't work also.
Yeah, it's not gonna work with Phil either. So Phil did the show too, huh?
Yep.
Okay, good, good. Well, you're getting some good guests. I'm really
So did
really
Dave
excited.
Griffin.
Oh, you did David Griffin too. Okay, yeah, you're getting some great guests. I'm really I don't think anybody's gotten Phil Proctor, so that's amazing. And then of course Chris Anthony will be great.
And we also had Evan David on here.
Okay, good.
And his wife.
His wife was on too, Sean Tay.
Yep. She was on here for our New Year's Eve live stream that we did.
Ah, okay. All right, very fun.
Bob Smithhauser, we got him too.
Okay.
He was already on here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was during Christmas time though, because his Christmas tree was still up.
Okay. Unless he was just late getting his Christmas tree. Yeah.
At least the file won't get corrupted this time. At least it's all good this time.
All right. I'll trust you. Anything else?
Bree, any other questions you want?
Writing for the Odyssey Club more than like the albums. You know how they put the albums on the Odyssey Club and they're going to the Odyssey Club? Do you enjoy writing for the? Do you have like a little bit more?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just it's not that much different to write for the albums than it is for the club. I mean, you're still trying to write good stories. It's just on the club you hesitate to pull push storylines too far, so people who don't have the club aren't alienated by stories that they haven't heard. We wouldn't get anybody. Yeah. Now we did do as far as the Perkins were concerned, we did do their salvation arc on the club because they spent a lot of time on the club anyway. They came to a few of the albums, but they were mostly on the club. And so honestly, we moved that salvation arc, for Wyatt and Ron and Carla. We moved their salvation arcs to the club basically because we didn't have enough room on the albums. We just had too much to do on the albums, and so we decided, okay, we'll just do this on the club. But we don't do that often. We don't move like really important those kinds of I guess life changing moments for our characters in the club. But I really did enjoy that story arc with the Perkins. I like writing for them, and I like writing for the actors are fantastic, and they've got great chemistry. So I really like that family. I've really liked the way they've grown and changed and become. They understand, the actors understand their characters now, and they know who they are, and so they come to the session with ideas and different takes on things that, oh wow, okay, he did that differently than I expected him to, but that was better, that was perfect. And that's what happens when actors get to know their characters. um, um, so yeah, so I mean, it's not a whole lot different writing for albums than club, but it's still very fun both ways.
Speaking of Bridget, is she becoming a Christian or going to at all?
We don't not we have not written any shows that have her becoming a Christian. No, I'll tell you that much. No shows in the works.
Because I know her whole,
So,
I know half of her family has.
yes, and I think there's some drama to be mined from her being the only Christian in her family now. There's some, I think there's some good situations that we can put them in, that might make for interesting drama. So as of now, we have no plans for her to become a Christian.
Any more questions? Marshall, do you have any questions for us?
Okay, so Brienne, you're in Pennsylvania. Where are you, Charlie?
I'm in Helena, Montana.
Oh, Montana. Okay. Wow. How nice is it up there right now?
It's raining right
Oh,
now.
it's raining right now. Okay. Yeah, I've never been to that part of the country. That's where Dave Arnold's from, though. He's from Montana. And so
See, I need to get him
fun.
from. I need to get him on the podcast.
Yes, yes, he'd be great. He'd be a great guest. There's a lot of people on our team that would be really great guests because honestly, they're all really great people. I can honestly say that there's not a stinker in the bunch. Everybody loves being a part of the team, and they all have great personalities, and they're very, very kind. They're very kind, and they have lots of integrity, and and I guarantee you, you know, uh, unless they're shy about it, which I can't imagine, but I can't imagine that they wouldn't all just love being part of a podcast like this because we also all like talking about Odyssey. Yeah.
All right, Bree, any more questions? All right, well, I want to thank Marshall for joining us
Well, thank
on
you
the
for
show.
having me. This was really fun. I appreciate it. Like I say, I never tire of talking about Odyssey.
We have Bree, like always, and me, the host, and we will see you guys next time on the Wonderful World of Odyssey podcast. Bye.
Sounds great. Bye.